June 6, 1944, D-Day. 5,000 vessels stretch across 50 miles of open water. Inside, 156,000 Allied soldiers wait in darkness. Some are sick, some are praying. None know whether they will make it past the first 100 yards. The German defenders on the bluffs above Omaha have had 4 years to prepare this ground. Fixed positions, overlapping fields of fire, concrete bunkers built to absorb naval bombardment. The battle that takes place will go down in history. But let's change one thing. Every soldier, every aircraft, every naval vessel on both sides gets swapped out for its modern equivalent. Same beaches, same 5 landing zones, Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juneau, Sword, same basic force ratios. The Allies bring their current military technology. Germany brings its own. The Atlantic Wall becomes whatever Germany could build with 21st century engineering and 21st century weapons. So what actually happens when the armada crossing the channel isn't made of Higgins boats and Sherman tanks anymore? What happens if D-Day took place today? The German defense. Modern Germany fields the Bundeswehr, one of the most capable conventional militaries in Europe. For this scenario, the defenders hold the same coastal positions, but the MG-42 nests are replaced with HK-121 general-purpose machine guns firing 900 rounds per minute. The concrete bunkers now house Milan anti-tank missile systems, range 2,000 meters, capable of tracking and destroying an armored vehicle from positions the attacker can't even locate yet. Panzerhaubitze 2000 self-propelled howitzers are positioned several kilometers inland. Each one can fire a 155mm round to a range of 40 kilometers with sub-meter GPS accuracy and sustain a rate of 10 rounds per minute. The bluffs above Omaha are seeded with modern German pressure-activated anti-vehicle mines. The entire beach approaches are covered by IRIS-T air defense systems scanning for incoming aircraft and missiles at ranges exceeding 25 kilometers. Germany also deploys Eurofighter Typhoons on combat air patrol above the beachhead. 12 aircraft, each carrying AMRAAM air-to-air missiles with a range of 160 kilometers and active radar homing that doesn't need the pilot to maintain a lock after launch. The Allied approach. The modern Allied force doesn't cross in landing craft. Not initially. The naval component includes Arleigh Burke-class destroyers carrying Tomahawk cruise missiles, range 1,600 kilometers. Each Tomahawk navigates via GPS terrain following guidance to within 5 meters of a designated target. A single destroyer carries 90 of them. The strike package preceding any amphibious landing would involve B-2 Spirit stealth bombers approaching from altitude radar cross-section of approximately 0.0025 square meters, essentially invisible to most ground-based radar systems. Each B-2 carries 80 500-pound JDAM precision-guided bombs or 16 2,000-pound penetrating munitions designed specifically for hardened bunkers. The Marine Corps and Army assault elements arrive via MV-22 Osprey tilt-rotor aircraft, landing troops directly at the objective rather than wading through surf. AH-64E Apache Guardian helicopters provide direct fire support. Abrams M1A2 SCP tanks are offloaded from amphibious assault ships via LCAC air cushion landing craft capable of 40 knots over water and 4 kilometers per hour over beach obstacles. The force structure is smaller by head count. Precision changes the arithmetic. Then the B-2s arrive. Flying at 50,000 feet, they're operationally invisible to what remains of German air defense. The Panzerhaubitze artillery positions identified by satellite reconnaissance 3 days earlier are each assigned a pair of 2,000-pound bunker busters. The howitzers are underground in hardened shelters. The penetrating munitions are designed for exactly that. They don't destroy the shelters from above, they punch through 3 meters of reinforced concrete and detonate inside. By dawn on day 3 of the air campaign, the German long-range indirect fire capability has been reduced by roughly 80%. The surviving Eurofighter Typhoons scramble to intercept. They meet F-22 Raptors. The F-22 carries AIM-120D missiles and AIM-9X Sidewinders. It detected the Typhoons on its APG-77 radar while still 80 miles out. The Typhoons don't get a targeting solution before the first AMRAAMs arrive. 4 Typhoons destroyed. The remaining 8 return to base and don't sortie again without air cover that isn't coming. The beach. The morning of the assault. What remains of the German position is degraded but not gone. Fixed bunkers without radar are still bunkers with men inside. The HK-121 nests are still there. The Milan teams are still operational on the bluffs. Concrete doesn't care about electronic warfare. The MV-22 Ospreys carry carrying the first assault elements approach at low altitude. One is hit by a shoulder-fired MANPADS missile, a portable infrared-guided surface-to-air weapon. 24 soldiers gone before they land. Not destroyed entirely, the mission continues. Apache helicopters push ahead of the landing craft, engaging known bunker positions with Hellfire missiles from 6 kilometers. Each Hellfire carries a tandem warhead designed to defeat reactive armor on main battle tanks. Against a concrete bunker opening, it's effective if the angle's right. The crew fires 8 missiles at the cluster of positions above the Omaha equivalent beach sector. 3 bunkers destroyed, 2 damaged, and still operational. 3 missiles hit reinforced concrete at angles that reduced penetration. The Ospreys and the LCACs hit the beach simultaneously across a 50-mile front. The LCACs carry M1A2 SCP tanks, and Abrams weighs 73 tons. It's hard to stop. The German anti-tank missile teams on the bluffs begin engaging at maximum range, 2,000 meters. A Milan missile has a warhead capable of defeating 1,060 millimeters of rolled homogeneous armor. The Abrams front glacis is 600 millimeters of composite armor equivalent. Side armor is significantly less. The missile teams know this. They're targeting the flanks. 2 Abrams tanks are destroyed in the first 10 minutes. The remaining tanks return fire with their M256 120mm smoothbore guns while infantry dismounts and begins suppressing the bluff positions. The battle becomes a suppression problem. As long as the German Milan teams can see, they can engage. The Apache crews push forward and begin engaging the bluff line systematically. The German infantry has Stinger equivalent MANPADS. 2 Apaches take fire. One breaks off with engine damage. The other stays on target. By mid-morning, something becomes clear that changes the shape of the whole fight. The modern battlefield is defined almost entirely by the radar and sensor environment. Whoever can see survives. Whoever's blind doesn't. The Allies field E-8 J-Stars aircraft 100 miles offshore, tracking every moving vehicle on the German side of the beach in real time and feeding targeting data to ground commanders. German infantry moving reinforcements up through Hedgerow County behind the bluffs is visible on synthetic aperture radar before those reinforcements are within 10 kilometers of the beach. Guided MLRS rockets arrive from Navy ships. Range 70 kilometers. Accuracy less than 10 meters. The German reinforcement columns stop moving on roads after the first 3 strikes. They begin moving cross-country in dispersed formations. This takes longer. That delay matters. The fighting on the beach lasts 3 hours before the first Allied units crest the bluffs on the eastern end of Omaha. It's not because the German defenders break, it's because the ratio of firepower has shifted so completely in the attacker's favor that holding becomes geometrically impossible. Each surviving German position is engaging 4 to 6 simultaneous threats: ground infantry, attack helicopter, naval gunfire, and precision airstrikes called in by forward observers with laser designators. A single German MG team in a covered position can still kill. It kills until the moment a Hellfire missile finds it, which the crew calling the strike can do within 4 to 7 minutes of identifying the position. The German infantry in the bunkers isn't cowardly, it's simply out of options in a way that the Wehrmacht in 1944 never quite was, because the Wehrmacht never faced anything that saw through walls. By early afternoon, the German coastal defense has collapsed along 3 of the 5 sectors. Gold and Juno sectors fell first. The terrain there offers less elevation advantage, and the Allied armor vehicles crested the beach obstacles within 45 minutes of landing. Utah fell shortly after. The holdouts are Omaha and Sword. Both have terrain that naturally favors the defender, and both have surviving Milan teams that are killing vehicles at a rate that slows the advance. The Apache fleet has expended most of its Hellfire loadout. Resupply is possible. The modern logistical tale includes CH-47F Chinook heavy lift helicopters operating from ships 20 miles offshore, capable of delivering ammunition and fuel to forward positions within an hour of a request. In 1944, that resupply took days. The pause that would have cost the Allies a beachhead in World War II lasts about 90 minutes today. The numbers. By 1800 hours on Assault Day, Allied casualties across all 5 sectors total approximately 1,200 killed and 2,800 wounded. The 1944 actual figures were over 4,400 dead on that same day, and that's the conservative estimate. The reduction isn't because modern soldiers are better fighters, it's because the gap between attacker and defender firepower accuracy is almost incomprehensible compared to 1944. In 1944, a Higgins boat ramp dropped and men died crossing 200 yards of exposed beach under pre-sighted machine gun fire with almost no effective counter. Today, those machine gun nests are identified by thermal reconnaissance and engaged from the air before the ramp drops. The beach isn't safe, but it's not Omaha in 1944. German casualties are disproportionate. Fixed defensive positions against a force with precision-guided munitions and a complete air supremacy produce a particular kind of attrition. The defenders can't move without being seen. They can't concentrate without being struck. The command infrastructure linking the coastal defenders to the inland reserve divisions is severed on day 1 by Tomahawk strikes against communication nodes. By nightfall, the German sector commanders are operating on fragmentary information and cannot coordinate a coherent counterattack. It's possibly the first time that the defenders' advantage on a prepared beachhead has been so thoroughly neutralized before the attackers' boots are even wet. The inland push begins before the day ends. In 1944, Allied forces spent weeks fighting through hedgerow country before breaking out. The terrain was the same problem it always was. Dense cover, limited visibility, short engagement ranks that neutralized Allied firepower advantages. Modern German Leopard 2A7 tanks are waiting in that same hedgerow country. They're excellent. Range finding is accurate to 5,000 meters in all weather via thermal imaging. The main gun fires DM-63 APF SDS rounds capable of defeating any Allied armor at combat ranges. The Abrams tanks pushing inland are encountering their closest true peer on any modern battlefield. Those engagements aren't one-sided. 3 Abrams are destroyed by Leopard 2 fire on the first inland engagement near what would have been Caen. 2 Leopards go down to Javelin anti-tank missiles fired by dismounted infantry. The Javelin locks on the thermal signatures, fires, and then the operator can move independently. The missile guides itself. The Leopard crew never identifies the launch point. Nightfall doesn't stop the Allied advance. It never does anymore. Night vision and thermal imaging remove darkness as a tactical variable entirely. The German infantry that withdraws into tree lines and waits for daylight to reduce their exposure finds that waiting doesn't help. The Allies push through the night with FLIR-equipped vehicles and soldiers carrying PVS-14 monocular night optics. By 0400 on day 2, Allied forces have pushed 8 kilometers inland in the eastern sectors. The breakthrough that took 6 weeks in 1944 is happening in hours. Not everywhere. The hedgerow fighting in the western sectors is grinding and costly, but the overall trajectory of the battle is no longer in question. The Bundeswehr forces are fighting well. Every individual engagement's hard. German soldiers are trained to NATO standards, equipped with the same generation of weapons and operating on ground they've prepared. What they don't have is air cover, artillery support, or a functioning command network. Fighting without those things, even well, produces one outcome eventually. The coastal sectors are gone. The reserve armored brigades are being attrited by airstrikes before they reach the front. The resupply situation's already critical. German fuel and ammunition depots identified via satellite before the assault began were struck on day 1. The Bundeswehr logistics system is struggling to function under constant air interdiction. By the end of day 2, the senior German commander is calculating the same thing Genghis Khan's opponents always ended up calculating. Not how to win, how long the position can hold.